NFL Daily is presented by Manscape. When you go to manscape.com/chat, you'll save 20% off and free shipping on all their fantastic men's grooming products, including the new Lawnmower 4.0. Don't forget that URL, manscape.com/chat, and use promo code chat at checkout, by the way. Some news we're going to dive into here around, I can't believe I'm saying this, Tim Tebow, who was the former quarterback/outfielder who was retired from both, is apparently going to get a shot with Jacksonville and gets to reunite with Urban Meyer, because sometimes who you know means more than how good you actually are. The Jags are planning, not official yet, that's why it says quarterback/outfielder retired, and we put Tebow's metrics because it's funny to me, as a tight end. That is the plan in Jacksonville, that the Jags are going to bring in the 33-year-old guy who's never played tight end before, hasn't played an NFL regular season game since 2012. He gets to be on the roster because it's Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow all over again. Now, Jacksonville does need a tight end. I mean, it's not good over there. I thought for sure they were going to take Pat Freiermuth, and they did not. Chris Manhertz, the former Panthers guy, is there. Luke Farrell, the Ohio State former Buckeye tight end, is there. James O'Shaughnessy, guys named Tyler Davis, Ben Elfson are also on the roster. I think it's this. I think there is a very unlikely possibility that Tim Tebow actually makes the roster in Jacksonville, because he's 33 years old, hasn't played football in nearly 10 years, and is now changing positions. Doesn't make much sense to me, but here we are, where in the year 2022, somehow Tim Tebow is getting a chance again in the NFL. Doesn't really make much sense to me. You guys kind of know my thoughts here, but I want to hear yours as well. Give me your one-word reaction on the apparent Tim Tebow reunion with Urban Meyer as he gets to head down to Jacksonville. Flood the comments section and give me your one-word reaction on that particular move. My one word? Why? You don't need Tebow if you're Jacksonville, because Tebow's not very good. But get your votes in for me in the comments section. Let's talk Julio Jones now, and the trade rumors continue. Peter King, Monday morning, said this: 60-40, that's the percent chance of no trade, or of a trade versus no trade, that Julio is traded by the start of the year. 60% chance he gets dealt. Now, the Falcons cannot move Julio until after June 1st. Doing so before then would incur an extra $17 million in dead money on their cap. They literally cannot afford that. If they wait till after June 1st, they save about $20 million over the next 2 years, and in theory, get a nice asset. The idea of moving on from Julio is very intriguing to me, because the Falcons took Kyle Pitts in round one, they redid Matt Ryan's deal, and it seems like they're also open to moving on from one of their best receivers. Now, look, Calvin Ridley is going to be expensive. I get that's an issue there. And Julio missed time in a way that he hasn't really for much of his NFL career. And maybe the Falcons are adopting the old Bill Belichick mindset of, I'd rather trade a guy and move on from a guy 1 year too early than 1 year too late. But dumping Julio, man, that'd be a pretty big-time move in June for any NFL team. So some teams that I think could make some sense, and maybe we'll even do an entire updated video on this, hint, hint, in the not-too-distant future. Some potential Julio Jones fits. The Raiders always linked. The Patriots could use a receiver. Tennessee didn't take one early. They make a lot of sense to me. Plus, there's some familiarity there between those two front offices and coaching staffs, I guess. The Colts, and then I'll throw in the Lions as a sleeper there, given all of their cap space. So what do you guys think is going to happen? This question, by the way, is the pinned comment on today's video. Do you think the Falcons are going to trade Julio Jones? Get your votes in for me. Type Y for yes, they will, or type in N for no, they won't. Let's talk Deshaun Watson and a possible trade here. Amid a whole bunch of lawsuits that are still ongoing, Watson's 2021 is very murky, and the trade rumors are kind of dead as a result. But Peter King, in his article for Pro Football Talk, broke down 2022 destinations, put out odds for all the different teams. So let's break them down here. Philadelphia, Carolina, next year. The top two favorites, plus 300 apiece. And I think both those teams make sense. Philadelphia still might need a franchise quarterback unless Jalen Hurts ends up being the guy. Carolina picked up Sam Darnold's option, but their organization is willing to be aggressive to go get a quarterback. Washington plus 500 makes some sense. They don't have anyone long term. Same with Denver if they don't get Rodgers and if Drew Lock ends up not going great. Houston is plus 800. They're fifth all the way down there. And of course, this assumes that the legal issues end up getting sorted out for Deshaun Watson, because if not, well then, he's not going to be playing in the NFL. There are also the Saints at plus 900. Money gets tricky, but Sean Payton loves to be super aggressive. The Dolphins at plus 1,000, which they were linked pretty heavily, but they did lose some of their best assets from this year's draft because, well, they had the number 3 pick, and they're not going to pick in that early next year. Minnesota plus 2,000. He threw out Cousins for Deshaun Watson. Houston says no, but maybe Minnesota throws in some other draft capital. Pittsburgh at plus 2,500. I actually find kind of intriguing. I don't think it's the most likely outcome, but if they're bad this year and they have a high draft pick, that could intrigue Houston. And then there's the field, plus 3,500, because let's be honest, that seems pretty unlikely anyway. In the end, any Deshaun Watson trade is on the back burner right now as Watson deals with his legal issues as a result of multiple sexual harassment and assault allegations. And that's the priority for Deshaun getting that figured out. And then there was, of course, the whole I want to hold out from Houston. So there's a lot going on right now in terms of what exactly is going to happen with Deshaun Watson short-term and long-term. So I was a little surprised King threw out a bunch of different teams for 2022, but it's intriguing, and he is pretty well connected. I'd say keep an eye out for Philadelphia if, of course, Watson's stuff ends up getting cleared. So make your predictions for me then in the comments section. Where do you think Deshaun Watson will play? Let's go to 2022. Let's look way into the distance. Make your guesses for me in the comments section. As mentioned, the new Lawnmower 4.0 is out, and you can save 20% and get free shipping on the Lawnmower 4.0 and the rest of Manscaped's great products when you go to manscaped.com/chat. And you can also apply a promo code chat at checkout just in case something weird happens and it does not take it. But the Lawnmower 4.0, it's the new and improved version. As you can see, multiple different heads and lengths in terms of the blade. So if you want a little bit of bush down there, it's okay. But as long as it's not overgrown and nasty and sweaty and just gross, you don't want too much down there. And the Lawnmower 4.0 helps make that a good reality for you. You can also get the perfect package as well. You can get the ball toner, ball conditioner, the best boxers, most comfortable ones I've ever owned, and a great traveling kit as well. It is all available at manscaped.com/chat. 20% off and free shipping when you use that link below, which will be in the comments section and in the description. Let's go to Aaron Rodgers and the Denver Broncos. That's the rumor we're talking about right now here on Chat Sports. The Rodgers trade rumors continue, and in reality, they are going to continue until Rodgers gets dealt, and then they'll start anew once he wants to leave his next NFL team there. Now, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN mentioned this Sunday morning, or afternoon, on SportsCenter. It says that Denver is monitoring the Aaron Rodgers situation. There are some reports from James Palmer that Denver thinks there's a chance they could get him. And Aaron Rodgers, meanwhile, is very much dug in with where he currently sits with Green Bay. And I think Denver, as we've mentioned many a time on this show, is a very real threat to go get Aaron Rodgers. Now, Troy Rennick, one of the Denver reporters based locally, had this general trade package so that his sources told him this is what the Packers might be willing to do. Of course, Denver gets Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay gets a first-round pick this year for 2022, of course. 2023, a second-round pick, and a key young player. Now, that's, I think, the, hey, let's get this deal done right now, and not Green Bay waits and drags it out and gets less value. That's fairly expensive. 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a key young player, maybe someone on the defensive side of the ball, maybe one of those receivers that Denver has. I doubt they'd move Cortland Sutton, but they got some extra depth on the offense line. Maybe an interior guy like a Lloyd Cushenberry could end up being moved as part of that. That's all speculation. But if this is the value for an Aaron trade here, who says no? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Type B for the Denver Broncos or type P for the Green Bay Packers. That's B for Broncos, P for Packers. I'd say Denver, 2 firsts, a second, and a key young player, but maybe that's a little bit more than what Denver really wants to give up. But if they were to do so, they'd be getting a truly fantastic quarterback. 2019 stats here from Aaron Rodgers. The production has always been fantastic. The touchdown-interception ratio, that is something Rodgers has always done incredibly well. He does not turn the ball over. But these numbers, 2019, were nothing compared to his 2020 stats. The level of play that we saw out of Aaron Rodgers from 2020 was a return to form. I would argue the decline had kind of begun to set in. He wasn't quite the same, arguably best quarterback in the NFL. But that's exactly what we saw in 2020. 48-5, that is a Madden touchdown-interception ratio. He was incredible, and it is unheard of for an MVP to get dealt the very next year. That's why the Aaron Rodgers trades odds, at least as of right now, do still favor Green Bay. They're minus 150 for his team in 2021. The Broncos are plus 200. They're the second team there. Las Vegas, they're plus 600. The Saints and Panthers, heavy long shots, plus 1,000 and plus 1,100 respectively. I still think Denver makes a lot of sense for Green Bay. I'd keep an eye on Las Vegas as well. But if Aaron Rodgers gets dealt, I think it is fair to say the Denver Broncos are the favorites to land him. So make your predictions for me in the comments section. Where do you believe Aaron Rodgers is going to play next season? Is it going to be with Green Bay? Is it going to be with Denver? Is it going to be somebody else? Make your best guesses for me in the comments section. Where do you believe Aaron Rodgers will play in 2021? If you guys haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. We've got daily videos for you guys on everything going on around the NFL. That means trade rumors, like we just discussed, news like Tim Tebow getting a shot in the NFL again, which does not make sense to me whatsoever, but hey, here we are in 2021, and a whole lot more. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on anything going on around the NFL. News, rumors, trades, and a whole lot more. Let's talk Larry Fitzgerald and his future in the NFL, namely as a member of the Arizona Cardinals here. Now, Fitzgerald has not yet announced a decision as we film this in terms of when he could play, or if he's going to play, in 2021. He's currently a free agent. He turns 38 in August, and Fitz has made this pretty clear, and I have no reason to expect anything otherwise, despite some other fans who might want him. It's the Cardinals or nobody. And the Cardinals, at least publicly, are keeping a door and window open for Fitz to return. Here's what GM Steve Keim had to say. Quote, he's told me he likes the move in the offseason and is excited, but he hasn't told me his plans. Leave it up to him. I think he's earned that right. And if he tells us at some point he's ready to go, we will have a spot for him. Now, Fitz in 2020, it's not the same. He's still been a great locker room guy, not a bad football player by any means, but I don't think you're getting anywhere near prime Larry Fitzgerald. And in fact, even though he is a no-doubt Hall of Famer, I think it is very clear at this stage that Fitzgerald is on the back end of his career, and frankly, I don't know how much he'd play in Arizona if he were to return. Because obviously DeAndre Hopkins is going to start at one receiver spot. They paid A.J. Green a pretty good amount of money to come be the number 2 on the outside. Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella are all going to be potential slot receivers, and Moore is a long-term piece, having been a second-round pick this past season. Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella, Keyshawn Johnson, they could be traded, even if Fitz does or does not come back, but those are 6 guys that in theory are at least rosterable for this Arizona team. So I don't know where Fitzgerald fits, and I think Arizona's being truthful when they say they'd find a way to make it work, but if Fitz comes back and says, hey, I'm going to start for this team, I want to be back as a member of Arizona, and I want to get 70-some-odd targets, I don't think that's all that likely. Now, I think there's a role for him, but it's probably much more as a veteran leader guy than it would be as a full-fledged, you're going to be our number 2 or number 3 receiver with the way that depth chart is currently constructed in Arizona. So what do you guys think here? One more year for Larry Fitzgerald. Do you think it's going to happen, or do you think his career's pretty much done? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Type 1 for yes, you think there's one more year left in the tank for Larry Fitzgerald, or type in 0 for at this point, I kind of think it's done. Head on down to the comments and get your votes in. It's 1 for yes or 0 for no.